Hello and welcome to YHTV's Trinity of Life. This is episode 62. I'm Christina Suzuma, your host for this program. Thank you so much for joining me as I continue to explore the wonderful world of healing arts, meditation, therapies, and the many modalities of helping each of us find balance in our individual journeys. We're always excited to meet those who are on the leading edge of creating change on this planet. Today our show is Yoga and Parkinson's. Now, at any time during this live presentation, you can feel free to ask a question or make a comment just by scrolling down on your screen and typing it into the comment box. Or if you prefer to ask it yourself or speak to our wonderful guest, you can dial into our conference line, 323-476-3997. And your ID is 607393#. Well, it gives me great pleasure to have with us today a faculty of Yoga Hub's Virtual World Yoga and Meditation Conference. And she has also been a guest previously on YHTV, episode number 20. If you choose to go back there and listen to that one, is wonderful. And she was speaking on yoga and tick-borne illnesses. And today she will be speaking of yoga and Parkinson's. Let us welcome our wonderful family member and blogger, Kat Robinson. Hello, Kat. Welcome back.
Hey, well, thank you. It's nice to be here. Thank you.
Yes, always lovely to have you back. And I mean, now your episode. This is 42 episodes later.
Yeah,
It's amazing, isn't it?
amazing. Yeah, it went fast, didn't it? And it was exactly a year ago today that I was on last time. So
Yes.
just in that year, this is how much you've accomplished.
There you go. And
Yeah,
you have
very
moved
wonderful.
forward as well. My goodness. Tell us what's been happening in your life the last time your daughter had gotten married. And
That was my youngest daughter,
Yes.
had gotten married, and now, as a matter of fact, today my oldest daughter is at the doctor right now, preparing to have our third grandchild, second one from her. A little boy, he's due any time. So, I kept sweating thinking, oh, she's going to go into labor at 11 o'clock today and I'm going to be at the hospital. I'm going to be able to do this, or we'll be doing this from the hospital.
Oh, my
But
goodness.
she's just for her regular weekly appointment right now. But it should be any time.
Very wonderful. Well, congratulations to
Thank you.
her and you and your whole family.
Thank you.
And we, of course, wish her a wonderful, easy, fluid birth.
I hope so. Yeah.
Oh, my goodness. So, Kat, can you give our audience who might be new listening to you a little bit about your history and where you're from and where you're living now?
Sure.
And yes, and your just a little bit of the flow of life that you've had.
Okay. I am the owner of Active Cat Yoga in Donovan, Missouri, which if you've never heard of Donovan, Missouri, that's okay. Nobody has. It's out in the middle of nowhere. But I have a very nice family of yoga students here. We enjoy our yoga practice very much. I have made a DVD called Sewing Yoga that is a therapeutic yoga program for people who sew. I also have written a book entitled I Almost Died, Reinventing Yourself with Yoga and Meditation After Traumatic Illness or Injury. The book was a result of my being bitten by a tick and contracting Rocky Mountain spotted fever when I was 17, and the health issues that arose from that, and my journey through yoga and how it helped to, kind of put my body back together afterwards to bring me to where I am today. What else? I have 3 kids, a son and 2 daughters. I have, any day now, 3 grandchildren. I have 3 grandchildren. He's just not making his grand appearance yet. A wonderful husband who supports me on everything. I live in a 100-year-old hospital that we have renovated into my studio and apartment and my husband's business. And we just bought another building next door to ours that was actually our town's first bank. It's 118
Wow.
years old. It still has the vault in it. We're renovating that now for my husband to move his office into there. But yeah, we lead a full life. I'm also on my town city council. And this year, my husband and I were chosen as the town citizens of the year.
Oh,
So it's been a
congratulations.
busy year this year. It's been very busy. But
Oh,
yes.
congratulations. How wonderful. Very,
Yeah.
very full. And wow,
Yeah.
a bank. Those
Yeah.
old banks are really magnificent, aren't they?
Beautiful vault and a beautiful safe. Just the ornateness of it that was put into this over 100 years ago. And you think that this was all done by hand.
Mm,
There weren't any power tools then or mass production of these. Every one of them was done by hand, and
yes.
it's just beautiful, absolutely beautiful. I'll have to take pictures and post them for you.
Oh, you must. It sounds fantastic. So he's moving his office from the hospital to the bank.
Yes.
And that which gives your yoga studio expansion.
Actually, no. He's keeping his part of the hospital. He's just not going to have his office in there.
I see.
It will actually be his shop for his construction business.
I
So,
see. I see. Oh, very good. Well, congratulations on all those levels.
thank you.
So, Kat, it's amazing your experiences and your journey in your life from one thing to the next, and why you even got into yoga, and creating the DVD and the book that you did, and really you really dedicate yourself to what comes up in the moment. And
That's
that's
right.
what's magnificent.
Yeah.
Now, you recently had a situation with one of your students. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, I have a student that has been with me for several years, probably 7 years, and she was in one of my more advanced yoga classes. Was an avid golfer, jogger, and then one day she came to class, and it was literally like it was just overnight. I mean, she came into class one day and she was having a really difficult time following along in class. I didn't put a whole lot of thought into it at the time. I just assumed she was having a bad day, maybe had something else on her mind. And so I just kind of ignored it. A couple of weeks went by. She did fine. And then it happened again.
I mean,
And
can you articulate like what it was that she was having problems with,
it
or
was things that we would do, every class,
a sequence?
Virabhadrasana 1, Virabhadrasana 2, is simple poses that we do in every class. And, she wouldn't be able to get her arms in the right position, or, and she would just be confused. She was just very confused. And then she would figure it out, and we'd kind of get a little chuckle out of it. And then, it would be fine. But it was just kind of subtle little things like that, like, just not being able to put her feet in the right place, or, just little things.
Mm.
And then it happened again, like I said, a couple of weeks later. And this time I was getting a little concerned. I thought, something's wrong here. She must, and again, I still am thinking she must have something going on at home that's got her mind preoccupied. And I just, thought she must really be struggling through something. And then it happened again and again. And then one day, we always, in every class that I have, whether it's, a gentle restorative class or if it's a powerful vinyasa, we always end the class, the last 15 minutes of our class, with legs at the wall and shavasana. And she had done this in every class. I mean, like I said, she very seldom ever missed a class. She was there for everyone.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, we finished up and we had done our cool down, and I said, and you may do legs at the wall, which is usually that's when everybody is, running to the wall because it's their favorite part of class. And and she just kind of sat and stared at me. And it was a very blank stare, just kind of a blank stare. And it was nothing very long. It was just very, maybe 30 seconds. And one of the other students said her name, and she looked over at her, and she said, "Come on, you can be by me." And I could tell that this other student of mine was also picking up on it because they were in class together all the time. They were friends, they golfed together, they did a lot of things together. And so then the next week, when this started again, I was very concerned. I thought something is not right here. And so I pulled this other student of mine off to the side and I said, "Is this just me or are you noticing this too?" And she said, "Something's not right. Something is definitely off." And so we just kind of let time go by. We thought, okay, well, if she's going through something personal, if she feels like sharing this with us, she will. But it just got to a point that I had to say something. And so one day after class, I pulled her off to the side and I mentioned to her that I had noticed that she was confused in class, and that I asked her if there was anything that I could help her with, or if there was anything I could do. And she told me that, and she was very, there's a stigma that goes along with this, that, people are embarrassed by it, or they try to be secretive, I think, or at least she was. And she said, "No, I have been having some health issues and I have been diagnosed with the early stages of Alzheimer's disease." And so, of course, horrible diagnosis. And so then, I started paying, special attention to her in class, making sure that she was being able to do the things. I started noticing some problems with her balance. And then a few weeks later, probably a month later, she said they had misdiagnosed me. I have atypical Parkinsonism. And so this is a very, very quickly progressive disease. It from the onset, it progresses very quickly. And so she stayed with us in our class for a while. And but it became very apparent that she was not going to be able to stay there. She needed a different class. And so I started a new class with her in mind. And a lot of people actually joined in on it because it was a very gentle class and kind of therapeutic, more of a yoga therapy class. And I just called it a gentle mat class. And she did very well in that for a while. But again, progression started happening. And eventually she ended up in my chair class. And now we see each other one-on-one. And we found that with 2 half-hour private sessions a week, we actually get more accomplished than we do in a group setting. So that was our motivation for that. And, it's a struggle for her. It's a struggle for anybody who has this disease. And, it's been a struggle for me as a teacher to keep myself informed and educated on the characteristics of the disease. So I just kind of delved right in and started studying it, and it's very challenging. For everybody.
Well, yes, because to watch a friend or for her family too. And
Sure.
how do you deal with it? Can you give the audience members who are not familiar with Parkinson's, can you give them a brief description of what that entails?
It's a neurological disease. It is not general or specific. People can have, different symptoms from the same disease. There are types of Parkinson's disease that are more slowly progressive. The one that she has is the one that's more rapidly progressive. Some people live with Parkinson's disease and they do very well. They respond well to the medications. L-dopamine is one of the big medications for this. There are some horrible side effects from the medication. She did have some of those side effects. The doctors have adjusted her medication over and over and over, to try to find that magic combination there for her. Some days she does really, really well, and then other days are not so great. And, so with this type of disease, and it's interesting that you had said, that I really, take it at the moment. But, when you have, if you're someone who has a disease like this, or if you're a teacher or a healthcare provider or just a caregiver, the family members of this need as much support as the actual patient does. You really do have to live in the moment. It really is a moment to moment thing, because one moment can be great and then the next moment it can just go all over the place. So, and it's neurological. It affects the, the tremors are a big issue. Her gait, balance. Her midsection becomes very rigid, so even sitting down in a chair sometimes can be really challenging, that she needs help with, or going to the bathroom, or it's been very much an uphill climb for her with this, and for me as a teacher, it's been very challenging. Like I said, when I first found out that she had this disease, I started studying it and trying to find out as much as I could, and trying to find ways to try to help her in my non-medical field way. I mean, I'm a yoga teacher, but I have no medical training. I have anatomy and and physiology, but that's I'm not a nurse, I'm not a doctor. I am a yoga therapist that does help. And this is, a Vata condition. So I have looked into Ayurveda and, different ways to help with that. We've experimented with coconut oil that has been shown to help tremendously, because it's very similar to the fat in coconut oil is very similar to the fat in the brain. So it helps with that. But so much of the information out there was just so clinical. It was just very. I might as well have been getting a medical degree, and I might as well have been reading a foreign language, because I just didn't understand it. And then I would find things that were just very generalized, and that, especially when it came to yoga for Parkinson's. Cat cow pose, for instance, is a big one. At this point, she couldn't get up and down off the floor. So, what I had to do was I basically just did things the old fashioned way and just said, what do you feel you need? Where do you feel you need help? And we found that the main things that she needed help with was balance. She needed help with just getting up and down out of a chair. That is just part of her exercise, is just getting up and down out of a chair. Keeping her torso from becoming so rigid. So there's a lot of twists that go into it. There's just, so many things that, I can sit here and I can say what is good for her, but somebody else may have a student that is a patient, Parkinson's patient, that needs something completely different. So, I don't want to be too general, but I think that the balancing poses, tree pose, supported balancing poses, very important to make sure that they have something to hold on to so they don't fall. She, in the beginning, not in my class, but at home, she was taking quite a few falls. She would come in, she'd be bruised up from falling. So it was real scary for her that she would just lose her balance. That, I think, has improved a little bit. The last few weeks of having her in class, or in our sessions, she's done very well. So they have adjusted her medication and she's done very well. But it's it's something that we just have to work with every time. Maybe a little, we have to just evaluate every session. But I do keep things as routine as possible because another thing associated with this is confusion. And the main reason why that we stopped having her in the chair class and the group session is because one day I had 2 new students show up for that class, and just having those 2 new students show up for class really threw her for a loop. She was scared, she was confused. So that was when we decided, it would be best if it's just the 2 of us.
Oh my goodness, what a journey that both of you are going through. I mean,
Yeah.
how wonderful is that she realizes to continue her practice?
And looks forward to it.
Yes, yes. I think that says a lot about you
Yeah.
as an instructor, Kat, because
Well, thank you.
I think your nurturing and your encouragement and support speaks volumes in this case, and
Yeah.
the dedication to supporting her well-being. Well, congratulations, and that's wonderful.
Thank
It's
you.
can you share with us approximately how old she is?
I would say early 70s.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Not
So
yeah, not terribly old,
no,
you
of
know?
course not. That's not
That's
considered
not
old
old.
in our
That's not
society these
old.
days.
No.
I know I
Uh,
have a
and 2
cousin
years
that
ago.
continues championship lawn bowling in his
Sure,
mid-70s. It's
sure,
wonderful.
sure. And
Yes.
like I said, 2 years ago, she was in our power classes, and she jogged,
Mm.
and she golfed, and she, was just this active, dynamic force. So, and it's a life lesson to those of us who are on the outside of it, her family members, myself, her friends, that, there can be a shift at any moment.
Mhm.
And that's why we have to live in the moment. We have to take each moment and we have to seize that moment because it may not come back around again. And,
Yes.
we don't, they say that our, most precious asset is our time because it's something that we can't replace. And, so every moment is just very valuable. And that's what I strive mostly to teach her is to enjoy the good moments, be accepting of the ones that she feels aren't so good. And, and to just be where she is and accept and love herself where she's at, no matter where it is.
Mm, mm.
And,
Wonderful.
and her family, the support for her family is also very important.
Yes.
Uh, her husband is wonderful about making sure she gets to class. He's very helpful and discussing with me what's going on. That he's been a great support in this.
Mm, that's lovely. It would be. You should tell him it's even more wonderful if you came and joined us in class.
And I have.
Oh, that's great. Yes, because that'd be really lovely. Then she feels fully supported,
Yeah.
and he has the understanding that she could do some of those things at home if she's at a good day as
Right.
well.
And I do teach him,
Mhm.
things that she can do at home and, to, make sure that she has something to hold on to when she does them and not to expect too much if she's having a bad day for him to be in the moment as well.
Right. Absolutely. So here you are in this journey with your wonderful student here, and because it's in the moment and everything continues to be in the moment. Um, she comes into you like several times a week or just once a week,
Twice.
twice a week.
Uh-huh.
So in between, you have no idea what's happening.
No.
And so whatever and however she feels comfortable, uh, you just work with her on the day, depending on where she's at.
Right.
So have you found during this a specific asanas that you feel um, have been like a little bit of a staple? Like every time she's
Mhm.
come in, certain ones are definite, like she's able to do and she's able
Right.
to, ground in with?
We have. And, and keep in mind that even though we do have certain asanas that we do and we do find keeping routine and keeping things the same every time is very beneficial for her, but we do have to make adjustments. For instance, there was about a month there that we couldn't do the balancing poses at all. She wasn't going to be able to do them. And I have to recognize that when she comes in, that, some things just may not be possible today. So we do something else. But I try to keep it as routine as I can. We do have one that we do that it's not really an asana, but it's a forward fold. It's multi-directional. It's a forward fold, and then it's reaching tall and stretching through the waist, and then stretching our arms out at the side, and bringing our hands in front, and we count as we do it. We count to 10 each time. We bend down, touch the floor, count to 10, reach up, count to 10, reach out, count to 10. That counting also helps her. It helps her to make that cognitive connection with, the movement and counting, because there was a time not too long ago that counting was even a problem for her. Counting to 10 was a problem. So that has vastly improved. We do twists. We sit in a chair and we twist. That helps. We do a side lean with her holding on. I actually have to keep her chair supported. So she, if she has a problem when she's sitting down, that she doesn't just fall back and fall over in the chair. So I put it up against the wall. When we do a side lean, I'm either standing next to her to hold her, or I have something there that's going to keep her from falling over. We bring her knee to her chest. I have her cross her, one leg over the other, and then lean forward to stretch the hips, kind of a seated pigeon pose type modification. Those things we pretty much can always do. Some of the standing poses, we don't always get to do those because it may just be a day that her balance is just so far off that it would be too scary for her and for me. I do have to be very flexible about that, but at the same time, try to keep it as routine as possible so she doesn't get confused. And because just a little bit of confusion can be a whole lot of confusion for her.
Well, so not only is the body affected,
the mind,
memory, everything is
cognitive
affected.
Skills, yes, yeah.
Oh, I mean, we and I mean, we hear of Parkinson's. We hear of how debilitating it is.
Mm-hmm.
But of course, everyone has different ranges. I've met a few people that have it, but as you say, they're at a different place. I mean,
exactly.
they just begin to lose their physical motor skills, as opposed to the mind and everything functions just great. So the different levels of it. So for her, it's affecting her in every way.
Every way.
Mm-hmm.
It's very progressive. And, this is a harsh one. This is one that is just, it has a lot of, just very, very fast moving side effects that come along with it and symptoms that come along with it.
Mm.
And, and like I said, the medication, the symptoms that go along with the medications, the side effects from that, when her medication is off, it's really problematic because these are, some harsh medicines. And she at one time came in and told me that they were getting ready to put her on a medication, and that it was one of the meaner ones, one of the more aggressive medications, and that one of the side effects could be death. And so she was really nervous about it, but it did help her. It did help her quite a bit. But there are days that she'll wake up and it'll be just, you see her again. And then there are days that, she comes in and you wonder if you're going to get through the session with her. So, you just have to be very open to whatever the day may bring,
mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and be prepared to work from that point.
Mm.
That every moment's a new entry point. And we know that from our yoga practice, that every moment is a new entry point. And, and it's no different for her than it is for anybody else in
Yes.
that respect.
Yes. Yes.
So,
I love the way you put that. I love the way you state that, because it's so true that we have to release ego, we have to release competition and all those different levels, and just be who we are just at that
right.
moment. And it's
That's
lovely
right.
that you saw her the first time, thought, oh, she's just having a bad day, as we all do. It's like some
Exactly.
days we can do this, and some days,
Exactly.
for
Yeah.
whatever reason.
I wish I had $1 for every time I walked into class and couldn't tell my right from my left all the way through class. That happens. Or
yeah,
or
we're
I'll
doing sun
forget to do something
salutation.
on one
Yeah.
side. I'll do something on one side and forget the other side.
Yes.
I mean, it happens to all of us. And, so when it, like I said, the first few times I just thought something's going on with her. She's got something on her mind. It's, it's none of my business. If she wants to come and talk to me about it, she will. If not, that's fine too. But then it just got to a point that I knew that this wasn't just, wasn't just having an issue at home. This was a health issue. This was something that we really needed to examine and see what was going on for her safety in class.
Yes. Yes, of course. Now, does she continue to do any other sports, or does she not
No.
just yoga?
Just yoga. Yeah. She lost her ability to drive about a year ago.
Oh, it's been a while then.
Yeah. Yeah. This has been going on for a couple of years. She's been coming to me one-on-one for probably a year now. The chair class that she came to, she stopped doing that last spring. I believe it was. Yeah, last spring. So, it became too much for her. And, and as a teacher, you also have to keep in mind that you do have other students when it's a group class. And it had gotten to a point that in a 60-minute class, I was devoting 60% of my time, if not more, just to her. And, and everybody, don't get me wrong, everybody was very patient about it, very understanding about it, very supportive of her. They loved having her in class. It was a sad day when she stopped coming to class. But, at the same time, my not being able to give her my full attention was not really fair to her. And my not being able to give my other students the attention that they deserved was not very fair to them. So, she just needed more attention from me than I was able to give in a group class. And so, we just had to make those arrangements. And she's done so much better one-on-one. I mean, we really get in and get down and dirty when she comes in. We just, get right down to business, and everything's devoted to her and whatever her needs are. And that's where we go. And so it's just worked out much better.
Yes, of course, because and it's also much safer.
Right.
I would think it's much safer for you to be fully attentive to her needs right at that moment. Never not knowing what could happen in the next moment for her, really, because she doesn't sounds like she doesn't have the control.
Class. Yeah, I've seen shifts in class. I've seen her come in and be on her toes and alert and fine. And before that session is over, she's not. And I've seen the opposite of that. I've seen her come in and not be on her toes and not be real sure about what's going on. And then by the time that she leaves, she's sharp as a tack. So, I've seen that shift happen within just a few minutes. And, and I think her husband has seen that too, and her kids.
Now, what about the other forms of yoga, like the pranayama, the breath work?
We do a lot of breath.
Oh, wonderful. So she's able to connect with that.
It's challenging. I just keep working with her, and try to get her to synchronize her breathing with mine. And this is the thing. Throughout this time, like I said, she she looks forward to her yoga class. She's there, every time. She's ready to go. She really connects with me. And I think that's really important. If you have somebody that in your life that has this and you want to get them, into a yoga program or a yoga therapy program, you need to find somebody that they connect with. And she and I have found that connection. We just kind of connect with each other. And so I can kind of draw her back and get her. I had a sister that was, in fact, today would have been her birthday. She died in 2005, but she was mentally retarded. And so I grew up with someone who had physical and mental challenges. So I've never shied away from it. It's always been there. And so I learned just through my life experience with her how to get them to connect and get her to connect. And so I just try to get her, when we work on the breathing, I just try to get her to connect with my breathing. Sometimes she does very well. Sometimes it's more of a challenge. But usually, that really can help pull her back. Also, Reiki. I'm a Reiki master, and she responds very, very well to Reiki. So that's been a blessing to be able to have that to use on her. So, that's, I think, very important that, when you have somebody, or if you have Parkinson's yourself, or if you know somebody who does, and you want to get them into a yoga therapy program, really find that teacher that they can connect with. And that doesn't necessarily mean that it's the best teacher in the entire world. It just means that it's somebody that they connect with, that they feel safe with, that they feel comfortable with, that they can say the hard stuff to, that this is going on, and the things that might be embarrassing for them, that might be something that they would not tell the entire world, but they feel open and safe enough that they can tell you. And so I think that's very important when you're trying to find a teacher, to find that.
Absolutely. Now, what are the key points for instructors who may not have, like you several years ago, not have not encountered this? I know, there is the yoga therapist group. I understand they are out there, which is the core of, scientists who are attempting to analyze, the therapies of yoga and the therapeutic benefits. And no doubt some of them may or may not have investigated Parkinson's. I would think that they would have to a certain point, but then again, what about someone like yourself, where you've been trained in so many areas of yoga, right?
Right.
So share that point with us. Like what areas have you been trained in, and what didn't you learn during that time?
Well, when I started teaching yoga, I was just a general yoga teacher. I had one way of teaching that I had been taught, and that's what I taught. And, that was 11 years ago that I started teaching. And through that time, I have, studied all kinds of teachers, from very powerful vinyasa, make you sweat all over your mat teachers, to the very gentle, the very gentle, you want to go to sleep after their class teachers. And I think each one of them has something to offer, in a form of yoga therapy. They all have something to offer. The International Association of Yoga Therapists actually has a lot of information on yoga for Parkinson's. When I went through, the publications that are available for us, they have a lot of information. Just research, because the thing of it is, like I said, you can't generalize with this. You can't say, okay, this is a one size fits all thing. That it's not going to be the case. You may have a student that is, yeah, they've got Parkinson's, and they occasionally may have a few tremors, or they may, have, some rigidity and, in their legs, or, they may have some symptoms, but for the most part, they do okay. That's one type. Or then you may have somebody who's like my student who, progressed rapidly, and there was, no getting hold of it. So you can't generalize and say, okay, this is what you do. You do warrior one, you do warrior two, you can't do that. One of the poses that I have found that works really, really well for her is Tadasana. Is just, it's a balancing pose. As they say, the greatest balancing act known to man is the ability to stand on her own 2 feet, or woman as it would be.
But it's true. I have to say, even my mother, who's in her 80s, to stand in one place and just breathe and be still, it is not easy.
No. And the stacking of the bones, and the alignment, and the feeling the feet, feeling where you're grounded, how, all of those things are very simple, but so profound, even for someone who's in good health, to take that time to just reconnect with your body in a very simple, subtle way. Somebody with Parkinson's, this is huge. This is, feeling their body, reconnecting with their body when it's out of control is, that's a huge factor in this, is just getting them to reconnect with their body. But, for instructors out there that may be dealing with this, or may be interested in having a class for people with Parkinson's disease, my advice to them is, number one, keep it simple. Keep a simple practice, one that's going to be effective for them. Like I said, Tadasana is a very simple, basic pose, but it's a very profound pose for somebody with this type of an illness. Keep it routine. Don't change things up a lot, because that will just confuse them if they're having some cognitive and memory problems. And of course, be in the moment. If they walk in and you had planned for them that they were going to do these poses today, and then they walk in and they're having an off day, be ready to switch things up from that and do something that they're able to do. And that may pose a big challenge for the teacher, but it will, I think, give you longer lasting results for the student. And that's really what it's about. We're not teaching this for ourselves. We're teaching this for our student to get the benefit. And, I think that the last Yoga Hub conference, I taught a class on sequencing. And one of the things that I had said in that class is to make sure that you teach the class that is in front of you. That if you walk in and you have a powerful class plan, but then you walk in and you've got 7 students and 6 of them are going, I am just so exhausted, I've just had such a rough day, then you might want to switch that up and say, okay, let's restore and rejuvenate a little bit. So, and the same goes for, for somebody with this disease. If they come in and they're, ready to really get with it, then, go with the flow. If they come in and they're not, then go with the flow. And, and that, I think, really is one of the biggest things that a yoga teacher can learn, is to just be in the moment with the student.
Wonderful advice, Kat. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Yes, I think it's so important on all angles, but it comes back down to the sort of points of yoga. Be in the moment.
Be in the moment.
Whether you are the student or the teacher.
And life. And life, of course. And, there will be a day, I'm sure, that, because there's no cure for Parkinson's. There's no cure for that. So there may come a day that she may not be able to walk. She may be in a wheelchair. If that's the case, we will still continue to exercise. We will do it differently, but, we will continue her yoga practice, and it may just be a case of assisted yoga practice of my, bending her knees for her and straightening her legs, and which I do that now. But you have to be ready for the progression that goes along with it as well. And I think through her yoga practice, she's learned to be at ease with the progression too. That, if you get a diagnosis of Parkinson's, Alzheimer's, cancer, anything that, typically is ravaging to the body, it's very scary, and it's very sad. It's just very sad. And but to get people to be at ease with that and to be accepting that, this is all we have is this moment right now. I'm saying, like I said with her, about her, that she might end up in a wheelchair one day. Well, you know what? I could go outside and get hit by a car and end up in a wheelchair before she could. So, that's true advice for everybody. It's not just people who have a disease, it's for everybody. And that's what I'm trying to, to instill in her, that yes, you have this disease. Yes, this has caused some issues for your body. This has caused some issues for your memory. And in the next moment, it may not be like that. In the next moment, you may be fine. And to just live with those moments as they are. And I think that has actually been one of the most easing things for her, is to just be able to say, today's not a good day. I'm going to rest. I'm going to, live today as it is, and we'll see what tomorrow brings or the next moment brings. That's having that sense of acceptance and ease is so important for anybody who has a disease. Nothing, there's no guarantees. I mean, we can do yoga and we can eat healthy and we can, do all these things, and we could fall over dead of a heart attack. There's just no guarantees. So, that's what I try to instill in her, that really she has this disease, but really she's no different than anybody else, because we all are living in the moment. Mm-hmm. We're all living moment to moment, and our lives can change in an instant. So, that's anybody.
Yes. Thank you so much, Kat. This is, well, you've really, if I can say, hit the nail on the head. Yes. You've encompassed all of it into a nutshell there. And really it really comes down to that, no matter what we're dealing with and what illness or imbalance that we're dealing with.
That's right. A perfect example of that is another student of mine a few years ago. In fact, she's getting married again at the end of this month. But about 6 years ago, her husband, who was the picture of health, had been out golfing and, 55 years old. And he woke up and said he had heartburn and he was going to go sit in his chair, and he didn't make it to his chair. So, we have to just seize the moments as they are, whether we have an illness or we don't, because, that's what life is. It's just a series of moments. And the more good moments that we can connect, the better,
Absolutely.
But we are going to have those moments that aren't going to be as good as the one before, possibly. And, to live in acceptance and love of ourselves, no matter where we're at in our life. That's very important.
Mm-hmm. Well, thank you so much, Kat. This has just been a wonderful time to spend with you again.
Yeah. It's always fun. Yeah.
Yes. And you're
always trying to get those glitches worked out.
I know, but actually it's luckily it's held up so beautifully for this whole time. So we got it done in the beginning. We got all the technical glitches put aside in the beginning. So it's all wonderful. And your information and the sharing of your experience we're very grateful for that, as well as, of the courage that your student continues to show is really inspiring. It's
It
very,
is.
very
It's an
inspiring.
inspiration.
Yes.
And I do encourage anybody out there who has somebody, or if they're dealing with it themselves, or if they know somebody that's dealing with this, loved one possibly, exercise is very important. That's one of the things that her doctor has said all the way through, is one of the best things that you can do for this type of illness is exercise.
Mm-hmm.
And, so keep that in mind, that, simple exercise is very, it takes us back to our basics. It takes us back to our breathing, connecting with our bodies. So it's one of the best things that can be done
Mm-hmm.
for anybody with any type of illness, or it's really the best thing that can be done for them.
Mm-hmm. Thank you very much, Kat Robinson.
Thank you, Christina.
Magnificent, our Yoga Hub family member.
Thank you.
Oh, and of course, we'd like to thank Segovia Smith and the Yoga Hub team for making this time possible, and to each and every one of you for joining us in this new platform of education and information. We are always grateful for your continuous support and look forward to hearing your feedback on how we can serve you better. We invite you to join us live on Tuesdays for Magical Medical Tour at 10:30 a.m. Pacific, 1:30 Eastern. Wednesdays for Trinity of Life at 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern, followed every other week with Flowing into Awareness with Anatara. We are always grateful for your feedback and support. Please share with us your comments and suggestions. If you know of others that would be wonderful to share their experiences, please let us know. 818-LETS-TALK. 818-LETS-TALK. Thank you so much. And until we meet again, namaste. YHTV's Trinity of Life. Come join me, Christina Suzama, as I journey to find the many modalities that support individuals, from children to adults to elders, with topics ranging from health and wellness, meditation, and inspirational stories. I invite you to visit yogahub.tv every Wednesday at 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern. I've heard you use the word safe. Can you elaborate a little bit more on that? Like an open class, no matter who goes in there, and it's not specifically, a gay or lesbian directed class.
I think it's a few things. When I say safe, I mean that it's a place for you to be able to unpeel yourself and really allow your core to shine, and really allow for yourself to heal. And in order to heal, you need a safe place for that to happen. So I provide a place for people to heal and to feel comfortable in and to open.